All right.
You good?
Is she on?
She's on.
All right. Carla, you're opening our
All right. This is
class.
from Renaissance Unity for Wednesday, and it's on oneness.
Oh, all right.
And I love this quote from Albert Einstein. You all just relax, take a breath, take a load off. Let the words work their wonders on you. Human beings, vegetables, or cosmic dust. We all dance to a mysterious tune intoned in the distance by an invisible piper. Today's affirmation is, I am an aspect of the one life expressing itself in and through all things. Dear God, we pause now to become still for a moment as we connect with each other and with you. All things exist within you, everything made and yet to be made. We lift our eyes to the higher places. You are the one, the only presence and power at work in the universe. As we allow ourselves to experience this truth at the deepest possible level, divine order is established in all of our relationships and affairs. We gently lay aside any thoughts of separation, fear, lack, or concern that we may have. With our prayers, we call that which is formless into form. Peace, justice, mercy, abundance, and love for all people and everything. We declare our intention to allow your spirit to manifest fully in our lives. As we release this prayer to the workings of spirit, we give you thanks and praise. So be it. Amen.
Thank you, thank you. So, you can reflect back on what Carla said or whatever's going on in your head. Oneness. What are other names for God that you like to use? Or does the situation dictate? Love. So it's one and the same, Shelley, for you? Love, God, yeah, I pretty much moved to that, yeah.
Great spirit. I
Great
think because of my ties to an Iroquois grandmother.
Right, yes.
I really like divine creator. I use that one a lot.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's the dearest creator.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Okay.
neat.
I sometimes find myself saying Mother, Father, God when I'm praying with people, and it's not one that I normally would use for myself. So usually when that's the one that comes out of my mouth, I figure it's what they need to hear or it would resonate with the person I'm praying with, because that one usually isn't one that I would use. But a lot of people like Mother, Father, God.
And I think that when we are praying with other individuals, but we're guided by spirit in what they need to hear. I use a lot of Jesus when I'm over at hospice. Well, particularly the minority families and this sort of thing. You kind of, don't rush in and just like you don't hear. You kind of get a feel. And if they want prayer, they also want to talk about where they are spiritually. So I'm quite confident that Spirit's okay whatever words are coming out. So
I forget who it was, but in the chaplain training this last month, it's the only time I've been through it. I forget who it was, but somebody, when we were doing our practice, would ask, how do you prefer to address divine spirit? And that way, when it was one of the he's, may have been Alan. Anyway, when he prayed with the person, then he would use whatever they were comfortable with,
Okay.
which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. All right. We're going to talk just a little bit tonight about creation. And if you want to follow along, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I've marked some things in the bigger textbook, not the little workbook. The opening statement on page 223. Creation is an orderly and divine process, or formula, if you prefer to use that is perpetually available. All right. Not many things are perpetually available. Not many things are orderly. And then part of a divine process. All right, as I've been, the point that I've been trying to make this week on page 224, you would expect that I not only have this underlined, but I have it starred. The divine point is always, the starting point is always oneness or divine mind and divine ideas that are expressed in an orderly process or sequence. It's always starting with oneness, or what name you are comfortable with. The clarity and purity by which divine ideas are expressed are determined by our level of consciousness. In order for each of us to consciously participate fully in this process, we need to integrate these insights into every level of our being. How do we integrate all this stuff into our level of being?
I love this thought. The clarity and purity by which divine ideas are expressed are determined by a level of consciousness. It just says so much and explains so much about the world. It's everything from why does the Rorschach work to why do we have Donald Trump? It's just a reflection of where we are in our consciousness. I love that. It just puts it so clearly in words.
And I think that integrating the insights of every level of our being comes with practice. It's like everything else. You get better with it the more you do it.
Oh, that spiral.
Yeah.
I call it the developmental learning spiral.
Well, yeah.
You don't sit down at a piano for the very first time and expect to play Beethoven. You're lucky if you can get out chopsticks. But the more you practice, the better you get. It's the same with prayer and meditation and, creation and all of it. It's practice. And an awareness that we're actually creating in every moment. We just might not be aware of what we're creating or what is coming along.
Do we tend to practice our spiritual practices? Do we tend to do this? Or are we more likely to practice the piano?
I think it depends on where you are. And I think that's why we call it spiritual practices. We sure don't call them spiritual accomplishments. And I think it varies from person to person and within each person from moment to moment. There are days when I know that I should be doing my prayer and meditation work, and I would much rather be practicing the piano, even though I've never taken a piano lesson in my life, because I just don't want to do it for whatever reason. And then there are other days when I don't want to stop my spiritual practice because it's so impactful.
I find myself there more and more,
Mhm.
especially these days. And sometimes I find myself getting very resentful when I have to stop because I hear Mike going, so what are you doing for dinner tonight? Or the alarm, has gone off again and I know I've got to get up and go teach now that I'm teaching at Spencerian. So trying to incorporate that into the spiritual practice. And, yesterday I was sweeping the kitchen and I thought, the first thought was, I just did this yesterday. And I've got to do it again because there's dog hairs everywhere. And then it was just like, it's just a perfect lesson in impermanence. Because no matter how many times you sweep, you're going to have to do it again.
No matter how many times you want to pray and meditate, you're going to end up doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Mindfulness to be the bridge that brings you from the one back to the other.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the video of all these little monks in training, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
And
I
he just
did.
kept,
And the little
oh,
boy kept falling over.
would pull his robe, bring him back upright,
And
and then he did, and there, and his legs flap. Like, oh,
Interesting.
I've been there. Mm-hmm. It was so cute.
Divine ideas are humankind's inheritance. It's our inheritance, divine ideas. It's on page 225. Divine ideas are the most important things in the spiritual universe. As we invest time in meditation and ultimately rest in the silence, we access levels of consciousness above our current level and therefore are able to utilize divine ideas from more elevated states of consciousness. You all are getting all of this stuff and processing it, right?
I love
Not this week.
paragraph after the
Go ahead.
first sentence that you read. The divine ideas are humankind's inheritance. They are pregnant with all possibility because ideas are the foundation and cause of all that humankind desires. I like that.
Yes. All on 226. Every time I read this, I'm eventually going to have books that look like, have you ever looked at Kathy Schmidlin's books? If she's used the book in several classes, I told her she needed to use different colored pens just because it might be interesting, the thought that she had the first time she read it, the second time. But by the time it's the third time she's read it, the whole book is marked. Yeah, so this book's becoming like that too. All ideas have their origin in divine mind, but their character as unfolded by each person depends entirely upon his or her acquaintance with God. We all have ideas originating from divine mind. That does not mean they're the same. We're all unique. We're unique individuals. Our relationship with spirit is unique. So those ideas will be different. Maybe similar, but different. And the other thing I have marked, the creative process is a cooperation between God and humankind. And whenever I think of that, it's me collaborating, co-creating, whatever words you use. It is just an overwhelming feeling. All right. Now, boy, last class of the day, and you all have had this is your fourth class. Okay. From the workbook on page 70. Knowing, you don't have to, it's just one sentence under what's in it for me. Knowing the overall process by which you create helps you gain more conscious control over your inner and outer experiences. That's just a flat out statement. Knowing the overall process of all of this by which we create helps us gain more conscious control over our inner and outer experiences. So my question to you is this: what is the difference between knowing and understanding?
Knowing is in the brain, understanding is in the heart.
Hey, Karen.
Hi, everybody.
Are we back to, we can't hear her?
She's probably muted. Yeah, see the little thing by her name isn't, the mic isn't green. She's muted. She's probably in the same room as somebody listening to
Oh.
TV or something.
Hi, I'm here.
It's green now.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. Can you?
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just now coming in. Go ahead.
Well, do we assume she can hear us?
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Okay.
hear us? She can hear us.
All right. Okay. What is it, say what you said again, and then I think Robin had. What's the difference between knowing and understanding?
Mm-mm.
It's gone. You forgot it.
Well, I was going to say no, knowledge is in your head, but the understanding's in the heart, but that's not true, really.
Okay.
Because when something really resonates with me, I read something like, oh my gosh, then I always said, I know it in my knower, and my knower is right here. So,
Okay. All right. What?
For me, and I'm not exactly sure how to explain it, but when I know something, it's at one level. When I understand it, it's at a much deeper level. It's like I can know something and it's really very much on the surface, but if I truly understand it, it's like I've gone into the guts of it. And I don't know if the understanding comes from being in a higher place in consciousness or how, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it seems like understanding something is a much deeper process.
It's like an experiential piece to it for me. Like before I lost the first person in my life, first time I lost somebody in my life, my grandmother was the first person I lost that I was really attached to. And I'd had friends that had lost grandparents or lost a parent or lost a pet. And I could see they were sad and I felt compassion for that. But until I had that loss of losing somebody, I really didn't understand on the same level what that person went through. Like there's an experiential piece like, oh, this is what it's like.
Okay. There is a difference.
if she chats, can we see it?
Only she types it. She has chatted because it's orange.
Okay.
Can you find that microphone that you turned on, unmute everybody like you did last night, see if that helps?
Okay.
We're going to try and get you back on, Karen, so we can hear you.
Let's see. Okay. All right. Knowing versus understanding. You know, this is the one thing that I find really interesting.
She says, yes, you can't hear me. That's what she said.
Okay. Now, I think last year at this time, I gave you all the study packet for, well, didn't I give you the whole thing that you'll,
For LUT?
yeah. The study guide.
No,
I don't remember getting.
I would remember that.
I remember
I know
you
we
gave us a
talked
big
about
packet.
Studying
Something.
for it.
Okay, well, I'll find it. They'll give it to you again. But it is kind of good to have because as you're taking these classes, you're seeing what parts they're pulling out. But when I look over it, it's all head knowledge.
She says if you have a study guide for LUT, she would love to have one.
Okay. For instance, there is a whole section, those of you that are taking the class about unity, and it's just a listing. When did they meet? What's the date that they married? And the
You have
names.
to know that.
Yes, no, it depends. Maybe some new people.
She says she has that one.
Okay, you got it. You've got it. All right. Anyway, my point is it's head stuff, head knowledge. You can sit down and Google it very quickly. I'm not quite sure. I wasn't, when I taught history, I wasn't big on having the students memorize dates. I like to approach it from a concept standpoint.
She says she has the one on history, but that's the only one.
Okay, well, it's going to be easy for me to pull this out and get it to you, Karen, and I will do that. Okay. But the whole thing, it's all factual knowledge. In a way, you feel like you're preparing for Jeopardy.
Oh,
and
is that all they can test on or something?
Well, but this is what we've been talking about. This is what this book is all about. Our whole life is centered around our senses. And in this age of accountability, giving a test with factual, that, okay, you passed, you made an A, you go on. You don't have a lick of common sense, but we'll send you on to the next level, or you can't interpret this. But that's kind of what we're into. But you're going to be licensed Unity teachers. Who knows? You may have a church in Evansville. So do you want those people to be able to sit down and answer 100 questions about Unity, or to take this information and personalize it and it becomes a part of the fiber? Now, hey, I'm in a great position. You're going to be in the same position. You can throw the questions up, but you don't necessarily know how we get there. So that's why I'm asking you, what is the difference between knowing and understanding? The really good thing is we just keep plodding along, and we do it together in community, and we support each other. And when you have an insight, you come running back in and you share it. But yeah, so it's really, really easy. All of us have been in school a long time. You are now teaching at Spencerian. And the easiest thing to do is to teach the facts. How do the facts translate? How do they translate to who we are, what we are, more importantly? All right, creation. I cannot, I would.
I don't think your paper clip's big enough. I love that paper clip.
I do too. The thing is, I was with a group of people today. I just didn't even take part in this part of the conversation. But they were talking, a couple of them were in a book club, and they were talking about books that they're reading. And I'm thinking, please, don't even ask me what I'm reading. I don't even know what you're reading, and I know you don't know what I'm reading. And they didn't. We went on to some other things, so that was good. Uh, but I encourage you to
Good grief, look at your book.
pick this book up and go through it, especially when you don't have to. And it doesn't, you don't have a paper, you don't have a skit to present. And then it's like, well, that's what that means. And then that helps become part of your fiber. Yeah, most of my books do look like this. These were all from the book I borrowed from Robin last night. I picked that book up probably 3 times from the time I went to bed.
And you were able to get it? You ordered it?
I ordered it. Amazon, yes. In fact, I am just a sucker. I got their other 2 books too. So
The Earth Currents one is really
if one was good, the other 2 are going to be
And I
good.
have Earth Currents as well. This is the book that I took the prayer out of that I opened with last night.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
They all, I mean, and at any given moment, depending on where you are, you turn to something, it's like, wow.
Yeah, I think I mentioned last night when we were here, the poem that Ray and I used for part of our wedding ceremony came out of here.
Oh,
Yep. Oh, this is the second part. Okay, let's take, we have 2 chapters that deal with the 12 powers. And we're gonna work with chapter, let me get the right one. Okay, it's 24, I believe. I want to work with 25 tomorrow. Because you are going to have a little bit of a homework assignment on it.
This gives me a message that she's muted her mic. It says they've muted their microphone and can't be unmuted by anyone else.
mm-hmm.
And she says she checked her microphone. So I don't know.
Okay, my mic is unmiked now. Can you
She's
hear
saying
me?
something. Okay. Well, can she hear us?
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Karen?
She can hear us.
Okay, all right.
It says she muted the mic. Okay.
It's okay.
We still can't hear her.
No, you
But
can't.
her microphone's green.
Yeah, everything is.
Everything's green. Just like it was the other night.
Yeah. Karen, you got to move to Louisville.
She's in West Virginia with her mama.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you'll be closer to West Virginia if you lived in Louisville.
Did it
Uh,
come
like
back up
that.
last night
What?
when we logged off and went back on? Did it come back down last night? Okay, no, it didn't.
I don't think
couldn't
it did.
remember.
No. All right, we're dealing with chapter 24. I know that, Karen, have you had 12 powers? Have you taken the 12 powers class?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're all at the same place.
This is Karen's website. Joyful
Oh.
Living. Thank you, Karen. Yay.
I love them.
Right.
She has all kinds of offerings on here. She's got her schedule, services, resource. Look at that picture. Pretty girl.
Good
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll tell you right now, you will have to, when you take your test, you're going to have to give the 12 powers.
Okay. I figured
And
that.
so on page, as silly as it is, it works. Page 234, that's one way to remember them. Lip juice flows.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a gross thing in there.
That's funny.
So do you need to know just the powers, or do you need to know who the colors and the
She
people? And
offers a 12 hours class.
Okay.
Neat.
All right.
I'm so sorry.
You have to know the disciple that goes with it. Now, there is a chart in this chapter. You can
251.
study it. I just, it is, for me, it's one of the most difficult because it just, I don't know, I just don't connect. It doesn't, you know,
Oh my
maybe
gosh.
it really connects with a very strong Bible student because the disciples, the characteristic
They
and
know
the
all the
stories
stories
and all
about
that tie in with it. So, you know, that could be the possibility. I don't know. For me, I just couldn't get into location and the color. Now, boy, do I wish that Karen could talk with us since she has also taught the class.
She says, say there are two disciples who were always present and never called, the divine feminine.
Okay, all right.
Keep
So
going.
you got to know the power and the disciple for sure. And that's just memorization.
It is
It's
pure,
what
simple
the-
memorization.
what
Now,
useless.
here's the thing, and you know, I'm telling this to you because you're going to need, you will have to do it. But I'm very anti about it because I want to figure out ways to help you incorporate this power into your fiber of who you are. Now, I will say, boy, I tell you, that Unity, the Unity Publications, they're doing their very best. Our Advent book at Christmas time has a section on the 12 powers and the Lenten book and throughout the daily word.
Mhm.
That is fantastic. The more the power becomes ingrained in who you are, it will emerge when you need it. You, gosh, yes, you do need it to pass a test. But if you're like me, a lot of those tests, I learned it for the test and that was it. It's
Almost
gone.
everywhere does that.
This is important stuff. This is our toolkit. They're called the 12 powers. I sometimes, and Karen, I don't know if you're like this, I sometimes would rather refer to them as the 12 gifts that the divine has given to us. And as we really understand what it is, I just believe that's the way Spirit works in and through us. You know, we talked a little bit yesterday about denials and affirmations, and we talked about not giving our power to that negative situation. That doesn't mean going out and beating up somebody, kicking that nasty old guy in the shins or whatever. It's power over ourselves, our thoughts, and the way we're viewing what's happening with us. So the more we get to know these things and it becomes part of our fiber, it will just automatically come up in our time of meditation and silence. Spirit knows when that needs to be tapped. So that's the dilemma of, you will have this dilemma too. How do you teach 12 powers? Do we keep going over and giving you little exercises where you've got it in your brain and it's head knowledge, but you have a tendency to leave it in the room as you walk out the door? How does it become part of your fiber? Now, Karen, I'll share this with you. They were all in this group last year when we had 12 powers. One of the most interesting things I observed, I don't know if it will ever happen again, I don't know what my reasoning was for having us discuss each of the 12 powers in the order that we did. All right. But on one particular evening, our first discussion was a lot of brainstorming about power. And great discussion, all kinds of, other synonyms for the word power and this sort of thing. And you all were into it. Power. So then we took a break and we came back, and the next thing that we talked about was love. And it was the same format. Give me different words. Talk to me about love. And I just sat back and I watched them, and I finally said, I don't know if you all remember, do you notice a difference? Do you notice a difference in this class now versus the first half when we were talking about power? The energy level was different. They took on love. And by the same token, you took on power. I don't know that that was a negative. I mean, it was definitely a strength kind of thing, but it was different of what you did with the two different words that we were talking about. So the point of all of this is, how do we get to taking each of the powers and just kind of, it resonates with us. We don't have to walk around with our notebook and say, oh, what do I do? Which one of these powers do I go to? It just happens. It just happens. I don't know. Any thoughts? You are bright people.
I wish we could hear Karen.
Boy, I did too. We want to hear from you, Karen.
She's not typing anything. I don't know.
No.
It looks like she's typing something. It just hasn't come through yet.
Okay.
I think it's interesting in the book where it says 235, the last paragraph. Some people do have difficulty understanding all of the pairings of the powers with the 12 disciples. Some of the pairings make more sense than others. Many students challenge the third phase of the listing, the body locations or nerve centers, often asking if these locations and centers are necessary.
Oh, okay, hang on. I'm so sorry.
So we aren't the only people to complain about or to speak about the.
Yeah.
So Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene are the two disciples that she thinks need to be added. She connects through the chakra system. I think the powers speak to everyone differently.
Yes.
I teach these very meditatively to see, feel, and be with them experientially and through the sacred anatomy. That's it.
You're awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yes.
I think that, I talked to the kids about using meditation and using their different, to practice using their tools so that when they need it, it's automatic instead of having to think about it. I said, it's just like the yoga warrior, just like what they're doing on some of the Marine bases and the Navy bases now, where it's not voluntary. They do meditate. They do take yoga classes. It's mandatory on certain Marine bases. And what they're trying to do is to give them tools to combat fatigue, post-traumatic stress before they get into those situations, so that when they get into those situations, they'll already have the tools to deal with it. Some of them, I talked to one high-ranking, and he said that as far as he's concerned, the meditation and the yoga are just as important a tool as the gun. so that when they get in those situations, it's just automatic. They don't have to sit and think about, oh, wait a minute, how do I meditate again? What am I supposed to do? It's just automatic.
How sad we put young people in those positions.
My youngest niece, who Robin's met, well, last year, although she was here this year, but
Lily?
yes. I was kind of propped up at the Easter service, so we didn't hang around very long. But anyway, she, her high school experience was a Quaker school. And part of that, every day they had a time of silence. And once a week, the whole school got together in this one large room for silence. And I've never asked her, did they give you, how did you learn? Well, yes, I did. I did ask. She had a friend who went to an elementary school, Quaker elementary school, and they started the young folks. So, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, they start them young, they know it. But anyway, the point being, they didn't spend a lot of time talking about silence and meditation. They just did it.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 years of this, you could just see a different person developing, a calmer person. Now, she's been away from that for 2 years. She's in college. I see the same person. It has become part of her. I don't know that she takes the time personally, but just her normal walk through life and the way she does things, it is much calmer than her 3 older brothers and sisters. It's just different. So we can do some things. You did some things. So, yeah. All right, Carla's leaving us.
No, I'm not.
I know you're not.
I'm just walking.
You're just walking.
Gotta move.
So what do we do with these 12 powers and 12 gifts? What do we do?
You know what a picture flew into my mind. You know how in a lot of households, there's a buffet in the dining room. And Granny's china dishes are in there pristine and never used because they're special. But these are not like that. These are like our melamine, whatever kind of things you want. We need to be getting them out and using them. Right?
Mm-hmm. We do.
I don't. I leave, some of them are dusty and some of them are slick with use.
Karen says, when we pray using the denials, these are the affirmations to use during prayer. When we pray using the denials, these are the affirmations to use during prayer.
The affirmations from these, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The next chapter. Did I mark it? Yeah. This is kind of, it's an interesting chart on page 270. It gives the power, and it gives a definition of that power from sense consciousness, personal consciousness. That's the middle column in the chart. And then the third is the spiritual consciousness. And that's what I'm going to have you deal with, and we're going to talk about tomorrow. But I kind of like this. This chart works for me versus, spending all the time learning about the colors and this sort of thing. But at the same time, I will say, and that works for people. Whatever out of all of this works, okay? But don't leave it in your head. Get it to your heart. I was going to point out to you, and I didn't mark it. Gosh, I knew that much.
When your friend Peter was here last year for the 12 powers, I loved what he said. He made up his own. Remember, he didn't think these were near inclusive enough.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Karen has added two more.
Yes.
That is absolutely fabulous. All right, on page 235, this is what Fillmore said about these.
Can I read
Oh,
something?
yeah, I'm sorry.
When we affirm these, they activate. Sorry, I'm tired. Okay. I have to affirm strength. I have to make 3 cakes, 2 dozen deviled eggs, 10 pounds of potato salad, and we cook more tomorrow. Oh, 20 pounds of barbecue. Strength is my best friend.
Oh, yes, good luck with that. Ah. Get ready for that big party.
Yeah.
How long would it take us to get there?
Maybe only
4 hours.
4 hours.
Well, if we leave as soon as class is over, we'll be there at midnight and we'll have plenty of time to help you eat.
Yeah. We can even help with the
Okay.
dishes.
She said okay. Wait a minute. I'd rather help cook than with the dishes.
Oh. Okay, I'll do dishes. I need a recipe from you, by the way.
So Jenny's
no,
going to
I
help
need
you
to do
cook.
that.
Gwen's going to do the dishes, and the rest of us are going to eat.
She says okay.
You mean we don't have a supervisor in here?
She says great.
All right,
Are
on
we
page
taking Ray or should he
235.
supervise?
Yeah. No,
No.
he would be too busy. These are 2 things I've learned about him. He loves to talk to people.
You talking about Reverend Ray?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be talking and he'll be eating as he's going along. So
He
there's
could be our
no
official
help
taster.
there.
Mhm.
What?
He could be our official taster.
Okay, yes.
We're a group of women. We don't need a supervisor.
No, we don't. We don't.
It's true.
Okay, Fillmore, at the bottom of page 235, Fillmore did not teach that it was necessary to know about them, being the 12 powers, but he recommended it. Also, he did not invent this idea of the 12 powers. It existed long before Fillmore wrote about it. Boy, did I get in trouble and called down.
When?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Because I made the statement that these were not unique to Fillmore. And it was, oh, yes, it was. I think this was a Fillmorean person, you know. I don't care. But if you start looking up
It
12.
was also used by Emma Curtis Hopkins.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
All right, thank you.
Cool.
I needed you a couple years ago when I was gone. But, you know, the thing that amazes me, there are just buku scriptures about each one of the 12 powers. It was,
She says she needs you now.
what?
What?
She says I need you now. You said you needed her a couple years ago. She says.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted me to come help clean or cook or whatever.
That too.
Yeah, okay. Right now, 4 hours, huh? I can work on that potato salad for you. It doesn't matter. I'm in unity, so I'm glad this is a thing with Fillmore. You know, but when you look at
I
these,
don't think he would like that.
no, he wouldn't.
You know, I
He
think,
wouldn't.
no.
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think he liked Fillmore worship.
Yeah.
It seems like I remember Reverend saying that he, and maybe I'm totally remembering this wrong, but didn't he say that that Fillmore at the end of his life said that, you know, he didn't really, that was just unnecessary. The 12 powers and putting it with the disciples and putting it with the colors and.
Oh, wow. I'd like to hear, I have to ask Ernie about that.
Maybe I'm wrong about that. It seems like in the conversation we had, he was saying that at the end of Charles's life, he said that, you know, it was just something that he just decided to do. It wasn't something, you know, it wasn't, I don't think anything was meant to be doctrine, but especially I don't think he meant this to grow as much as it did, but it was just kind of something just did. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, that's good. You get to ponder that tonight. You thought you were going to sleep tonight.
And I am.
I am very grateful for the 12 powers. They make perfect sense to me. They are gifts that I have. I look at each of them a little bit different because we're all different. We're all different. There's similarities in our definition, our personal definition, but it just, I do like to refer to it. They're all part of my toolbox. And
Okay.
when everything's going crazy out around me,
She says, I wonder if you were talking about the colors. They were added later. The
oh, I don't know. I'm just,
Katie, about the
and for some reason I can't, and I don't know. Ray seems to know a lot about Fillmore. Huh?
Can we take just a couple minutes?
Yeah. Hey, we're going to take she left. She's gone.
Everybody needed a break.
It's just like last night. It's all out of control, but not as bad.
I had the funniest idea when we were talking about driving yesterday. He's just never had a driver's license. He never drove a car. I wonder how he would have done behind the wheel. That would have been interesting. You could have a role model there too.
Bob McKinney's
You know,
Bob McKinney, and I got lots of guys who were going to help.
the same emotions were there.
I'm sure.
Oh, good.
The situation's different.
Move your donkey.
Yeah. Well, gosh, I get in all these conversations here. But Ray and Valerie were talking about this. We were talking about when Jesus went into the tabernacle and all these vendors were there selling this, that, and he just went bonkers. They both got talking about they've been in those situations. They've got it. We got so many. We're selling T-shirts. We're doing this, and all that. So, yeah. We just kind of, we go back to keeping balance, keeping our ego.
You all are going to be there at 1 o'clock on Saturday day.
I have a hard time separating out when I think about 12 powers versus when I think about the character strengths. Some positive psychology.
Well, Bonnie might not have.
Okay.
Trying to,
Yeah, you had mentioned those, I think, last
I
year.
work a lot with that with people that I see. Both of them seem to be like, they're all parts of our expression of the divine idea.
Okay.
Divine mind. Like if you took a prism and you broke apart white light, it would look like all these different colors. It's all just part of us. There's so much overlap, but the 12 strengths leave out so much that's in, or the 12 powers leave out so much that's in the 24 character strengths.
I can't believe none of them are associated with women though, at all.
Yeah.
Karen added too.
I know, I like that.
Well, this is where we get to embedded language. And Charles and Myrtle were just real Bible scholars as well as other religions, and
The ones
that's
who picked for some reason.
yeah.
And people have been doing these lists like that back, we had written history back through the Greeks and the Romans, and people have always been looking at, what is human nature, what makes for good character. It's part of the research they did to come up with the character strengths.
Yeah.
Maybe Charles just didn't have access to all of that. I don't know. He had access to some of it.
But who does have access to more than Charles had?
Google.
Shelley.
Yeah.
You can.
Well, the important thing isn't if there's 12 or 24, which ones. It's probably just what they mean to you and how you apply them and live them. That's
You
actually
just
important.
got an A+.
Yeah, I'll do it right
Yes,
over.
yes. But we don't turn in letter grades.
What was that? What'd you say?
And it's from the paper.
So what's your paper?
She's
I wanna see
getting
if I can
it.
see
She's
one.
getting it.
Talking about the 12, I keep saying 12 strengths, 12 powers, and the 24 character strengths in positive psychology and all the research that went into that throughout all the ages. I'm just sitting here thinking out loud, it's like, why does it particularly matter that Charles was missing so many of them or that he didn't have access to all the literature that went into this research or the brain power or manpower to do it? It just matters how you apply them and how you live them.
I always said he missed some of them, which was really surprising because he doesn't have joy as one of the powers.
And Karen,
Fairness, and there he is with Myrtle.
she said that he let, the apostles should have included at least a couple of women. So
The two
Well,
Marys.
she teaches the two Marys.
So
yeah.
let's not go too far afield.
See, we all agreed with
Oh!
that. See,
Cold water, buddy.
ah,
Uh-huh.
will there be conversation on the ride home tonight?
None whatsoever.
All right, is she back yet or is she making deviled eggs?
I think she might be going.
It's probably about 20 pounds of barbecue. I heard that.
Yeah.
Who are you talking about, Donna?
No, Karen. Oh,
Karen.
Donna's probably
She's away
unpacking
Virginia with her
CDs. Huh?
mom. She teaches 12 powers class. She has a website.
Karen.
Karen.
We invited her to move down here.
Yeah.
We're going to invite people from
Yeah, if we're going to poach people from Unity churches, we might as well poach them from far away.
We're recording.
Oh,
Cherry pick. We only want the best ones.
anyway.
So if
It's
Charles
gonna
had
work
no
out just
problem with
fine.
somebody trying to poach people from him, why should we?
East is just going to be a satellite church.
I know.
That's just kidding. We got plans for it.
Northeast, southwest.
Yeah,
What I'm planning
absolutely.
on.
Yeah,
Southeast Unity.
Bedford.
Bedford, right there. Hey, that's how they start, right there
Yeehaw.
in your living room
Yeah.
or in the summertime around your pool. All right. Gosh, we're gonna kind of wrap up early.
Yay. What's our
I
homework?
just hate to turn her off.
Think
And,
about homework.
yeah, that's what I want us to talk about. Oh. Well,
She may have had to take care of something with her mom.
yeah. All right. The last chapter, this chart that I referred to,
Okay.
it is on page 270 and 271.
That one.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One, two, three, four. Oh, well. I want you to each take 3 of these. Now, which 3?
We pick.
You pick. Whatever jumps out at you. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If it ends up being that all of you take the same 3, so be it. Okay?
Mm-hmm. And do what with them?
We're going to bake them into a cookie recipe.
Yeah.
Jenny's on it right now. I just want you to ponder them. Okay, just as an example, the first one, faith. The sense consciousness says, use this ability to believe I am not worthy. a spiritual consciousness. Use this ability to more than believe, to realize I am Christ. Okay, I just want you to kind of, to me it's like the one column in the center, sense consciousness. That's kind of where I used to be. And
Just
where I
doesn't
am
make any sense to me.
now it doesn't, right?
Use this ability to believe I'm not worthy? What?
Did you ever feel that you were not worthy?
Not all the way, no.
Good. Maybe you don't want to take that one. So. Well,
I didn't believe I was perfect, but I knew there's something
okay,
good there.
and I'm not sure exactly what the authors of this chart, but in terms of any, this is going to be rather difficult to do. I think where I am now in my definition of faith is so far different than I was 10 years ago and 15 years ago. And I think in a way I equated faith and kind of religion,
Mhm.
I was part of the Protestant faith or something like that. And I never did I think I was worthy.
You never thought you were worthy.
No. I heard that. It's always a man. I heard that man up there
Yep.
behind that pulpit.
We have a prayer, oh Lord, I am not worthy to receive. Only say the
Okay, so
word,
we pick
I am
three and
not
do
worthy
what
of
with
the
them?
word.
You weren't even worthy to talk to God on your own.
Yeah.
What?
You weren't even worthy to talk to God on your own. You had to have somebody go to God for you.
Catholic?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. No, didn't have that.
Well, Jenny's really confused. She had one foot in the Catholic Church and the other in the Baptist Church.
Yeah.
You're not
Ugh.
confused. You are enlightened. I thought it was an interesting chart, okay?
Mhm.
So look them over and ponder them. And if you find them confusing, that's okay. Move them over to the side. You can immediately go down to elimination and renunciation. Just, I don't want this to clog up your thought process. But see, yeah, like I said, you know what, the very first one I immediately started thinking about back then. And so, well, I started to say, so happy I'm not there. But I think now is so good because I was back there, So just kind of let your mind run with it. Okay? But to sit here and to read faith, to realize I am Christ. Together, the collaboration with spirit. And, So, I don't know, just how many did I say?
Three.
3? Is that going to be overwhelming?
It's probably like I would get more out of it if I took one and wrote like a meditation on it or something. Would that
Okay.
be cool?
Yes. Now that doesn't mean you all have to take one and write a meditation. Okay?
Okay.
You just kind of do your own thing with these. Just
Just do
kind of,
something with the 12 hours. Bring it back tomorrow.
well, yeah, I just want you thinking about them.
Okay. Three.
That's-
There's a reason 3 would poke out at you.
I have no idea.
Just ponder on it.
I
Back on
just,
that.
I thought, okay, 3 and,
No, I mean when we look over the list and 3 come out at us.
yeah.
We can.
Which one?
We
Yeah.
can wonder why that one stuck out. We can. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that they'll all be different and we'll basically cover them, but if we don't, we don't.
Good for you.
I think I know which one I'm going to do.
Okay. Now, I'm going to suggest something else. You don't have any tomatoes, so you can't throw them at me.
I have cold water.
I was wondering if a way to practice everything in this book, to really get it, incorporated would be to sit and watch these political debates.
You watch for 60 seconds and then debrief for an hour. Watch for 60 seconds and then debrief.
Or can you watch it for 30 minutes and not be pulled into it?
No.
Not yet.
What skills or muscles do you develop in trying to do that?
Elimination.
Yeah, I like that one.
Definitely will.
Flush it
Well,
down the toilet.
The thing that I was thinking that, you know, to really incorporate these things, you need practice situations. Like Robin was talking about practicing the piano. So how do we practice these things? And so I was thinking, well, no, I don't want to throw you to the wolves out there, you know. And then I got to thinking, oh, those crazy debates and listening to all that stuff. If you can kind of pull yourself out of it and not get caught up in it. So,
It takes strength, judgment, and love. Or find somebody who has polar opposite, especially right now, political views, a friend or acquaintance, and have lunch with them. And just listen to what they say without trying to respond.
now see, and that is really personal. This is a personal friend. Yes. Yeah. Are you going to do that?
And we had dinner with a couple the other night, and he's Republican, and he's very staunch Republican, but he's like, we're in trouble. Our party's in trouble. So
No shit, Sherlock. I hope that ain't taped.
It is. That's interesting because I have a really good friend we work together. She's on a cruise right now. She and her husband. If they are Republican, it doesn't matter what they say. She is bowing down to them. And so we,
What don't people think for themselves?
I think that this is because her parents were that staunch, and that's all she's ever known. So I always have to remind myself there's a friendship at stake here, just so we move on and talk about other things. But it is a challenge, and this is life, and this is what we are dealing with. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and get into those conversations, so that's where the idea of those political debates, you know, you can at least sit there with a remote and turn it off. But how do we develop these and become stronger?
Don't you think maturity does that a lot?
Yeah, I do. I
don't think, which power do I need?
No, you can't.
I just think, what is the most loving way to respond to this? And sometimes the most loving way is leave.
Okay.
And sometimes the most loving way is to compassionately listen.
Okay, see, and in just what you just said, you brought in several other of the 12 powers.
But defining them
reasoning,
like that makes me crazy.
Yes,
We are integrated people. We aren't.
yes. So they're there. The more we kind of get, so I gave you 3.
Yep.
Shelley gets 1.
Just think it could be interesting too to break it down, like if you had a transcript of one of their speeches and just take part of that and like have a chart like this. Here's what they said. Here's the sense consciousness version. Here's the spiritual consciousness version, and break it down so that you've got to step back from it and you don't get sucked into it.
And see, what you just said is really the way we approach life. We step back, don't get sucked into it. And it's our senses that pull us into that. And on one hand, we justify it because it makes perfect sense. We can smell, we can feel, we hear. Step back. and replace these with those 5 senses. Yeah.
And in that stepping back too, because even while we're talking and we're frustrated and all that energy is still going towards the person or party that you're frustrated with. So that's still giving them energy instead of pulling away. And that's, I can't remember where it was, but they said, that there have been candidates and things like this that should never have won. And bless you. And yet they won mainly, the energetic thing is because there was so much negative energy towards that person winning that it was still energy towards them. And it's still
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, tomorrow you will be the instructor of the class, whatever you come up with. There's no right and wrong. Just want you to share your thoughts. And with that, we'll go home. Robin has a ride home and will not be talking to anybody.
Unless they're covered in chocolate.
That was a different class. I can't respond.
Well, it was nice to spend time in your real life class.
Bye, Karen. Wherever you are, barbecue,
In the
potato
ethers out
salad. Is she making deviled eggs? This is a good gathering. Deviled eggs.
Uh-huh.
I think every one of my maternal grandparents' gatherings, it's probably because they had chickens, We had deviled eggs.
They're so easy.
Yeah, I know, but I can't get it quite right.
And banana croquettes. That was a Carter thing.
Oh, I've never
Oh,
had
really?
that. What is that?
Couldn't have Carter get together without that. I'm going to try to send you that link. So.
I've heard of a banana
Okay.
croquette.
Thank you, sweetie.
I get really excited when I go to Kroger's and I see they have deviled eggs there in the deli
Oh,
part.
that's great.
Yes.
That's neat, Gwen.
Well, no, I should have been in the kitchen with my mother and my grandmother learning. I like to cook, but they had all those old recipes ingrained in their head,
Yes.
Pitch and dash world.
Thank you.
Yes.
I hope you do something nice for your birthday, baby girl.
I am going to a new restaurant Sunday after church.
Yay! What's the name of it?
The River
Applebee's.
House.
I just saw the sign
They're
board on the
good.
interstate today, and I thought, what's the river?
Well, I'll tell you who it is.
Who is it?
Veronese.
Oh,
I love Veronese. Veronese
cool.
doesn't open on Sunday until 5 o'clock unless it's a holiday.
yeah, gotcha.
And, but the River House, he owns part of some of the same menu items, and
That's
they're
neat.
open at 11 on Sunday.
Awesome.
So-
That would be cool.
Have you?
That's
Good.
See you tomorrow.
Yes, Miss Narrator.
Safe trip, Carla. All right, what do we do here?
You just stop recording. I don't see it on this.